the agenda.
So we got Jerry's
There's a second.
motion,
Second, John Beckman.
Beckman second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, carried. Then I need an approval of the February 25th, 2020 minutes. Is there any additions or corrections?
John Beckman has some corrections.
Okay, go ahead, John.
On the documents that were sent to us, I'm referring to page 3. Under item number 3, that's highlighted, request for special permit, about quarter of the way down that large paragraph on page 3, there's a sentence that starts off, the applicant stayed. I believe that should be stated. Followed then by Broadway Avenue. That's actually Broadway Street. And then further down in that same paragraph, sentence starts off Condon Ave. It states high. I believe that should be how high. And then on page 4, somewhere about halfway down or so in that paragraph, there's a sentence, Childs asked if staff is requiring fence around Lot B. Dornoff stated that the applicant would have to fence in Lot B. The word B should be replaced with the letter B as in Bravo. And that appears again further down. Ledley agreed that using Lot B, the word B should be replaced by letter B as in Bravo. Aside from that, I didn't see anything.
Okay, any other additions or corrections? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the amended minutes.
Beckman makes a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it. John Bell.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? Okay. We have 6 decision items. You want me to go ahead and read them like I normally would do?
Sure.
Okay. Request by Nagle Signs on behalf of the Waterloo Public Library for a variance to the sign regulations to allow for the construction of 11 feet 2 inch by 12 foot 6 inch, 124.75 square foot digital monument sign, 84.75 square feet more than the maximum 40 square feet allowed within the C3 Central Business District located at 415 Commercial Street. Staff report.
This is Dornoff with staff. The applicant is requesting a variance to the requirement that a monument sign be limited to 40 square feet per side in a C3 commercial district. The property is located at 415 Commercial Street in the Zone C3 Commercial District, has been zoned as such since the adoption of the zoning ordinance. The section of the zoning ordinance that pertains to this request, Chapter 69, Outdoor Advertising, Signs and Billboards, 10-26-10E3, maximum total square footage of signage. 1 freestanding post, pole, or monument sign shall be allowed per property, totaling 8 square feet with 40 square feet allowed per side. The applicant is proposing to build a 124.75 square foot sign, 84.75 square feet above the maximum allowed within a C3 Central Business District. The applicant notes that the copy area of the sign is only 78 square feet. However, the entire sign needs to be counted. The entire 124.75 square feet of sign will be on a single side positioned toward the intersection of Commercial Street and Park Avenue. The new sign will be replaced. We're replacing a existing sign and a flagpole In addition, the footings for the new sign will be placed below grade. The Waterloo Main Street Design Review Committee did approve of the sign design. Criteria, the lack of reasonable return. There would not appear to be a lack of reasonable return as a sign that meets the regulations could be constructed at the site. Uniqueness, does appear to be uniqueness in the request in the ordinance, as the ordinance allows for a total of 80 square feet, but only 40 square feet per each side. But the maximum visibility and to remain out of the triangle visibility for motor vehicles, the sign would be placed at an angle and be single-sided. The total square footage of the copy of the sign will be 78 square feet, 2 square feet less than the 80 square feet maximum allowed for the two sides. However, the entire sign consists of 124.75 square feet. Public considerations, approvals of the variance would not appear to have a negative impact on the neighborhood. Therefore, staff recommends that the variance to the sign regulations be allowed for construction of a 11-foot 2-inch by 12-foot 6-inch, 124.75 square foot digital monument sign, 84.75 square feet more than the maximum of 40 square feet allowed within a C3 central business district, be approved for the following reasons. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding area. There appears to be uniqueness to the request. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on the traffic conditions in the area. And the sign has been approved by the Waterloo Main Street Design Review Committee.
Okay. I have one question about this process. Is whoever is speaking, can we see them on the screen?
I believe the only way would be through YouTube or, oh, there we go. Can you see me?
No,
Okay.
I don't.
You can see them on YouTube, kind of.
I will let our
Oh, nice.
studio staff know. They'll know, they heard. So
Okay, so the studio staff heard your request and they're going to try and show staff doing their reports. So you should start to see us more often.
Okay.
Okay, great.
So, anybody have any questions of staff?
No.
Okay, seeing none, hearing none, I should say. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak in favor of the request?
Hi, this is Brian with Nagle. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to, I caught the very end of the audio there, so I apologize if I'm speaking twice on anything. I just wanted to point out that we are staying, outside of the vision triangle there, and we are below the recommended height or required height restrictions. So, yes, the sign is a little bit larger than what is approved there, but we're hoping that the sign will reflect growth and align nicely with Waterloo's downtown amenities as I had written. I guess that's what I have for anyone else with questions.
Okay. Anybody have any questions of Brian?
No.
Okay, is there anybody else that wishes to speak in favor of the request? Okay. Hearing none, is there anybody there that wishes to speak against the request? I'll state it again, is there anybody here who wishes to speak against the request? At this point, seeing or hearing none, if there's any other questions or comments from the board, if not, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, this is John Childs. I move that
we recommend that the variance to the sign regulations to allow for the construction of an 11 foot by 12 and a 12 foot by 6, 124.75 square feet digital monument sign, 84.75 square feet more than the maximum of 40 square feet allowed within the C3 Central Business District, be approved for the following reasons. The request would not appear to have a negative impact upon the surrounding area. There appears to be a uniqueness to the request. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on traffic conditions in the area, and the sign has been approved by the Waterloo Main Street Design Review Committee.
Is there a second?
This is Jerry. I second it.
Yeah, I think Jerry seconded it. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Amy.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, we have our second request by Eric Johnson for a variance to the Accessory Structure Regulations to allow for the construction of a 26 by 36 detached garage in the front yard within the R1 1 and 2 family residence district located at 2 Winter Ridge Road. Staff report.
This is
Mr.
what,
Chair, before you start the staff report, this is Beckman.
I'm sorry.
Before you start the staff report, this is Beckman. I have just a quick clarification on the staff's document.
Okay.
I'm looking at, as it lays in front of me, page 3. Page 3 shows 1, 2, 3, 4 items. Item number 1, towards the bottom of that item, says between the proposed detached garage and the house to the east at 6 Winter Ridge Drive. I believe that should be the west, not the east.
yes, that's correct. Should be west.
And the same thing appears in item number 4. States owners to the east, which again should be to the west, correct?
Correct.
All right, thank you. That's all I have for
Thank you.
Okay, staff report.
This is Western with staff. The applicant is requesting a variance to allow for the construction of a 26 foot by 36 foot or 936 square foot detached garage within the required front yard, 11 feet 7 inches in front of the existing house and approximately 300 feet from the front property line. The property is located on the north side of Winter Ridge Road, approximately a quarter mile south of Hartman Reserve. The properties to the north, south, east, and west are zoned R1, 1 and 2 family residence district. The area comprises of single-family residential uses, and there's Castle Hill Park, which is approximately 230 feet from the property in question. The request will not appear to have a negative impact on traffic in the area, as the garage will be located approximately 300 feet from the front property line. The site plan submitted also shows an attached garage addition on the west side of the home, which does not need a variance. The applicant is requesting a variance to allow for the construction of a 26 foot by 36 foot, 936 square foot detached garage within the required front yard, 11 feet 7 inches in front of both houses at 2 Winter Ridge Road and 6 Winter Ridge Road, 32 feet 9 inches to the west of the proposed new attached garage expansion with a 5 foot side yard setback and approximately 300 feet from the front property line. There is currently an existing shed in the front yard that has been in place for many years that will be removed as a part of this project. The parcel in question is 1.5 acres in size and is rural in nature, located in the northwest corner of the city, approximately 290 feet from the Waterloo Cedar Falls border. The home was constructed in 1949 prior to the adoption of the ordinance in 1969 and was constructed at the very rear portion of the lot and does not meet the 30-foot rear yard setback that the current zoning ordinance requires in an R1, 1 and 2 family residence district. The ordinance requires that accessory structures shall not be constructed within a front yard, which is the area of the property extending from the front of the house to the front property line. Staff inquired as to why the proposed garage could not be constructed further back so it is even with the front of the existing home, as there is approximately 32 feet 9 inches between the west property line and the proposed attached garage addition, which would eliminate the need for the variance. The applicant stated that building the garage even with the house would require reconfiguration of the existing paved driveway, which would require additional paving and removal of some trees. The house adjacent to the west at 6 Winter Ridge Road sits even with the house at 2 Winter Ridge Road. The proposed garage will be constructed approximately 11 feet 7 inches out in front of both homes towards the front property line with a 5-foot side yard setback along the westerly property line, and approximately 46 feet between the new accessory structure and the neighboring house to the west at 6 Winter Ridge Road. Staff initially had concerns with setting precedent if this request is approved, as other property owners in the area could argue that they should also be allowed to construct a garage in their front yard as well. However, the area is rural in nature and heavily wooded with mature trees, making the proposed garage less visible. The average lot size of the surrounding properties at 2 Winter Ridge Road, 6 Winter Ridge Road, 325 Four Seasons Road, and 320 Four Seasons Road is 1.3 acres. The proposed garage would be approximately 46 feet away from the dwelling to the west. The applicant has submitted a signed petition in favor of the request from the property owners at 6 Winter Ridge Road, and the existing home was built towards the very rear of the lot, leaving little options for where else a detached garage could be located. The Board of Adjustment has approved similar variance requests in the past. Some of those addresses are 366 Ranchero Road, 825 Denver Street, 472 Progress Avenue, 822 Blackhawk Street, and 1152 Avis Court are some examples. Lack of reasonable return. There does not appear to be a lack of reasonable return, as there is approximately 32 feet 9 inches between the westerly property line and the new proposed attached garage addition, where there is adequate amount of space to place the proposed detached garage in the side yard and not be in the front yard. Uniqueness. There appears to be somewhat of a uniqueness to this request, as the area is rural in nature and heavily wooded with mature trees, making the proposed garage less visible. The average lot size of the surrounding properties is 1.36 acres. The proposed garage would be approximately 46 feet away from the dwelling to the west, and the home was built towards the very rear of the lot, leaving little options for where else a detached garage could be located. Public considerations. The applicant has submitted a petition of approval from the property owner to the west at 6 Winter Ridge Road. Also, staff has heard no options to this request. Therefore, staff recommends that the request by Eric Johnson on behalf of Mary Beecher Peterson for a variance to the accessory structure regulations to allow the construction of a 26-foot by 36-foot, 936 square foot detached garage in the front yard within the R1, 1 and 2 family residence district located at 2 Winter Ridge Road be approved for the following reasons. The request would not appear to have a negative impact upon the surrounding area, as the proposed accessory structure will have a front yard setback of approximately 300 feet and 46 feet between the proposed detached garage and the house to the west at 6 Winter Ridge Road, or Winter Ridge Drive. Number two, there appears to be somewhat of a uniqueness to this request, as the area is rural in nature and heavily wooded with mature trees, making the proposed garage less visible, and the home was built towards the very rear of the lot, leaving little options for where else a detached garage could be located. Number three, the average lot size of the surrounding properties is 1.36 acres, which would appear to minimize potential negative effects the proposed accessory structure may have. And number four, the applicant has submitted a signed petition in favor of the request from the property owners at 6 Winter Ridge Road. And staff recommends approval of the request with the following conditions: that the existing shed currently in the front yard be removed from the site.
Okay, is there any questions of staff?
No.
Okay. Hearing none, I see that Eric Johnson is on, so Eric, do you wish to make any remarks?
Can you hear me, Brad?
Yes.
Okay. No, I think the staff report really covers our position on this. We really just wanted to participate to answer any questions that you may have regarding the request.
Okay. Is there anyone else wish to speak in favor of the request? Okay, hearing none, is there anybody in the audience that wishes to speak against the request? Okay. Hearing none, I would ask if there's any further questions. If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, Beckman here, I'll make the motion. Recommend that the request by Eric Johnson on behalf of Mary Beecher Peterson for a variance to the accessory structure regulations to allow for the construction of a 26-foot by 36-foot, 936 square feet detached garage in the front yard within the R1, 1 and 2 family residence district located at 2 Winter Ridge Road be approved for the following reasons. Number one, the request would not appear to have a negative impact upon the surrounding area, as the proposed accessory structure will have a front yard setback of approximately 300 feet and 46 feet between the proposed detached garage and the house to the west at 6 Winter Ridge Drive. Number two, there appears to be somewhat of a uniqueness to this request, as the area is rural in nature and heavily wooded with mature trees, making the proposed garage less visible, and the home was built towards the very rear of the lot, leaving little option where else a detached garage could be located. Number three, the average lot size of the surrounding properties is 1.36 acres, which would appear to minimize the potential negative impacts the proposed accessory structure may have. Number four, the applicant has submitted a signed petition in favor of the request from the property owner to the west at 6 Winter Ridge Road. Staff, with the qualification that the existing shed currently in the front yard be removed from the site.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second, John Giles.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Request has been
Here,
approved.
before you move on to the next item,
Yes.
Beckman again. This would be, I'm sorry, hold on a moment. This would be the next agenda item, number 3, at 1801 Lafayette Street. Just want
Yes.
clarification from staff that where it starts general description, it says the applicant currently operates a small car sales and incidental repair shop from this location. Is that correct?
Yes,
He's currently in business doing this?
correct.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, our third decision item. Request by Eric Johnson for a variance to reestablish a legal non-conforming use in the R2 1 and 2 family residence district to allow for an auto sales and incidental auto repairs located at 1801 Lafayette Street. Staff report.
This is Western with staff. Their property is located at the northeast corner of Lafayette Street and Ray Street and is on R2 1 and 2 family residence district and has been zoned as such since the adoption of the zoning ordinance in February of 1969. The Blackhawk County Assessor's records show the building as being constructed in 1941. The 1969 city directory shows that the property was operated as Brockway Texaco Gas Service from approximately 1969 to 1979 and listed as Brockway Towing in 1980 to approximately 1990. The property sat vacant for many years. The ordinance states that if a legal nonconforming use is closed for more than 1 year, it automatically loses its legal nonconforming status and must go before the Board of Adjustment for a variance to allow reestablishment, the reestablishment of a legal nonconforming use in the R2 1 and 2 family residence district. Staff is concerned with the condition of the property and has requested a plan of action for making the property more aesthetically pleasing so as to blend in the surrounding residential area. The applicant has indicated that he is willing to paint the building, install curb stops to keep tenants at 815 Lafayette Street from driving on the grass area to the east and plant, that would be actually to the west. Oh, it's east, yeah, it's east. Grassy area to the east and plant new grass to make the site more aesthetically appealing. It would not appear that the request would have a negative impact on traffic conditions in the area, as there has been a business at this location since before 1969 without any known issues. The request would not be in conformance with the classification of this area as low-density residential on the future land use map within the City of Waterloo Comprehensive Plan adopted February 3rd, 2003. However, the site has historically been used for commercial purposes. There are instances throughout the city where there exist uses which constitute a non-conforming use as defined by the zoning ordinance. It is the intent of the zoning ordinance to permit these non-conformities to continue until they are removed, but not encourage their survival. It is also the intent of the zoning ordinance that non-conformities shall not be enlarged upon, expanded or extended, nor be used as grounds for adding other structures or uses prohibited elsewhere in the same district. Non-conforming uses are generally incompatible with permitted uses in districts which they are involved. The ordinance states that if a legal non-conforming use is closed for more than 1 year, that it automatically loses its legal nonconformity status and must go before the Board of Adjustment for a variance to reestablish a legal nonconforming use. Without issuance of the variance, the property could not be used for commercial uses or for residential uses unless the existing building is demolished. The building is 726 square feet with 1,800 square feet of parking area. Therefore, the minimum number of parking stalls would be 1 parking stall. The applicant has stated that he is the only employee. Therefore, proposed use will meet all minimum parking requirements of 1 parking stall based on the size of the building. Approval of the variance to change the legal nonconforming use would not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding neighborhood, as the proposed use is for a commercial use on the edge of a residential neighborhood along a 4-lane street with other commercial businesses located to the east, such as Bugsy Pest Control Store, located at 1940 Lafayette, built in 1956. Cork's Grocery Store, located at 1956 Lafayette Street, built in 1956, which have appeared to have blended in with the area since the early 1950s. Lack of reasonable return. There would appear to be a lack of reasonable return to the request, as the existing building is designed for commercial purposes and would have limited to no use without issuance of a variance. Uniqueness. There would appear to be somewhat of a uniqueness to the request, as the property has served as several businesses that served the neighborhood since 1941 and is located along a minor arterial roadway with other commercial and industrial uses in the vicinity. Public considerations. Approval of the variance to reestablish the legal non-conforming use would not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding neighborhood, as the proposed use is for commercial use on the edge of a residential neighborhood along a 4-lane street with other commercial businesses located to the east, such as Bugsy Pest Control Store, located at 1940 Lafayette Street, Cork's Grocery Store at 1956 Lafayette Street, built in 1956, and you also have American Automotive to the west at 1645 Lafayette Street, at which all businesses have appeared to have blended in the area since they were built between 1941 and 1956. However, staff is concerned with the condition of the property and is requesting a rehabilitation plan that will address the painting of the building, the resurfacing of the parking lot, and the removal of all outside storage items. Therefore, staff recommends that the request by Eric Johnson on behalf of Robert Frank for a variance to reestablish a legal non-conforming use in the R2 1 and 2 family residence district to allow for an auto sales and incidental auto repairs shop located at 1801 Lafayette Street be approved for the following reasons. There would appear to be a lack of reasonable return to the request as the structure was designed and set up for commercial uses in a R2 1 and 2 family residence district in 1941 before the adoption of the ordinance. Secondly, approval of the variance to legalize the legal non-conforming use would not appear to have a negative impact upon the surrounding neighborhood, as the proposed commercial use is on the edge of a residential neighborhood along a 4-lane street and across 4-lane street, which has appeared to have blended in with the area since 1941. Subject to the building being painted within 12 months, that the park grass area to the east be blocked off and new grass seed planted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any questions of staff?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, John Childs. So it appeared that the city then truly believed that this was not used for a non-conforming purpose for a year, and that's why it's here before us.
Correct.
Okay. We don't have page numbers on these, unfortunately, but on the second page, fourth page of pictures, there's lots that needs to be blocked off and seeded. Is that gravel that's going to be seeded, or is that concrete? Is that bust up?
So you see the house in the background? That is a rental with a lot of different vehicles. They have a tendency to drive onto his lot, which is grass. And so it's become quite the mud hole, and we're just asking that along the parking lot there, the driveway, that it be blocked off so that they can't drive on it, and then reseed that area.
Okay, so you're talking about putting a fence up pretty much to block it off, and then reseed that area.
Right, I think they were planning on curb stops, which would be a lot easier. They could have those put up in no time. But they could use fence, curb stops, just something to keep them from driving on it.
Okay. Do we have the latitude to say sod over seed? Because if we seed this, it's going to take 3 to 4 years to even show anything.
I would say, in my opinion, staff's opinion, that might be a little over and above to require sod.
Okay. That's all my questions now.
Okay. Chris, this is Brad. I have a question. The aerial view that you have marked in yellow, is that the lot size? Because you've got the area to be seeded differently. Does the lot go all the way over to that driveway?
So there are two separate lots. You have the small lot that the small commercial building is on, and then immediately to the east, that lot goes all the way up to the north. So it's a long, irregular shaped lot. And so we're only concerned with the grass area immediately to the east between the commercial building and that 2-story rental house. Because what's happening, I don't know, they're stacking cars, and to get out, they can't back onto Lafayette, so they just drive onto his lots. And it's become a mud hole.
So where will these curb stops be put? Close to the building?
No.
Out towards the street?
Well, actually, I don't know that we care where he puts it, just so that the traffic is no longer continues onto that grass area. It would probably be easier to put it along the driveway of that rental house. Otherwise, you know, it still leaves, if you put it closer to the building, it still leaves it open to be driven on. So my suggestion would be to put it right alongside the edge of the driveway of the rental house.
Mr. Chair.
Is that his property, the rental house?
No, he owns the lot between the commercial building and the house.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And just to clarify, Chris, he also owns the lot to the north also,
Right.
that rental house.
Yes, it goes all the way up to the north.
Yeah.
So just to clarify what Brad brought up, this is Beckman, that lot that needs to be seeded, that's part of this project, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Also, Chris, when you read the staff recommendation section of your report, you said subject to 2 items. Should resurfacing of the parking lot be part of those as well?
Well, what happens is, you know, there's initial conversation with staff about these requests when they first come in. And then things have a tendency to continue to change. We find out different things. I don't know that we continue to require resurfacing of the parking lot. I know Eric agrees with me that that might be a little above and beyond. But certainly blocking off the grass area from being driven on, reseeding it, and painting the building are the 3 minimum requirements we're asking for.
This is Schrader with staff.
You mentioned resurfacing the parking lot in number 3 of your criteria.
That was our initial thought when we first wrote this staff report, but that should have been taken out.
All right, thank you.
This is Schrader with staff. I just wanted to comment further on the discussion of the lot to the east and its inclusion as part of this request. So just wanted to make it clear that it is not part of the non-conforming use. So if this is approved, allows the westerly lot with the commercial building on it to reestablish a non-conforming use that does not extend any non-conforming use status on the vacant lot to the east, but the condition does bring that lot to the east into the request somewhat by ensuring that we don't have illegal vehicular use access across that vacant lot by requiring some sort of barricade.
Do we have a time frame for the either curb stops or a fence or whatever to be put up?
I believe we were thinking 12 months, but that's certainly up to the board to make any recommendations you'd like.
This is Schrader with staff. Yeah, I would suggest those should be relatively right away. We can certainly work with the applicant on a, somewhat reasonable time period for that. But, that's creating quite the mess and nuisance right there. So probably would want to see that one a little quicker.
Right.
John Giles, do you have a suggestion on a time frame for that?
I personally like the year time frame, but with all this coronavirus stuff going on, kind of puts things in limbo, doesn't it?
Yeah, I understand that, but absent that, if they get approval.
Absent that, I think a year to do this entire request is reasonable.
This is Thornsberry. I would agree with 12 months on the painting, but it would be good to put the plant seed down here in the spring so we have a chance of having grass there in the summertime. So I would say 6 months.
Yeah, Beckman, I agree with that proposal.
I guess I'm thinking more about those as separate because blocking cars from driving on it, you have to do that first before you can put the grass down. Because if they put the
That's
grass
where-
down, don't block the cars will just drive over it.
I think that's where Jerry was headed, that, you know, get
Ah.
the blocks up, you know, to keep that from people driving on it.
So if we separate that then,
Well, it would be,
okay.
it would,
Different time.
So you're saying shorter time frame than to block off the area?
yes.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Any other questions of staff? Eric, do you wish to speak in favor, in regards to the request?
Well, I think the staff report covered most of it. You know, this was built as a gas station back in 1941 and generally been used for that or similar related type uses. My client thinks the use has been continuous, the city doesn't, and so we're not here to argue about that. Mr. Beckman had a question about he's been operating. I don't think he knew that he was not operating appropriately. This all came, I think, to the city's attention, and Eric and Chris can weigh in on this. The property that he had to the north, he had a tenant who wasn't a good tenant, and so code enforcement got called out to deal with junk and refuse, which has all been cleaned up now. But that's what brought them out there, and then I think that this use came out, and that's what brought us to that. And then we had conversations about simply applying for a variance to move forward. I don't disagree. I've been out there. I don't think this property can be used. It's not going to be used for a home. I mean, if you've been out there and looked at it, I mean, it's a gas station. It's not going to be a residential use. That's just not going to happen. And the use is pretty non-invasive. It's been there since 1941. Certainly anybody that's moved there has moved there knowing that that's there. And I think the city staff has done a nice job of asking for some things as part of this request to sort of leverage it into a better property than it is or would be if this wasn't approved. And so certainly to the east, it's a mud hole right now if you've driven out there. Something needs to be done, and he's agreed to do that. He's also agreed to either paint or side the building. And so we think that it's for the reasons stated in the application, we think it's a reasonable request and would ask for approval.
So Eric, he's been just selling a car or two and working on them. Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
he's a onesie, twosie guy. He buys a car, works on his garage, fixes it up, and then puts it on the corner and tries to sell it.
Okay, so he's not going to put 15 cars out on the parking lot.
And I think Eric and Chris could comment on that. If he tried to, I think there's a limitation that he has to get a state permit if he's going to sell more than 6 a year. Is that?
This is
I
Eric
think
Schrader. That's correct. If you sell more than 6 vehicles in a year, Iowa Department of Transportation license is required. Although if this variance to reestablish a legal non-conforming use is approved, there would be nothing barring the property owner for obtaining that license for the site. So this would not preclude that, and this doesn't necessarily restrict the number of vehicles on site other than the vacant lot to the east is not included as part of this variance to reestablish a non-conforming use. So I guess from a staff standpoint, it's a pretty small building and a pretty small lot with a relatively small existing paved area. So I don't see a major concern. He hasn't indicated a plan to do this, but I don't see from a staff standpoint, see a concern if he did get a DOT license and did put a few more cars on the site. But if the board is concerned, that certainly could be looked at as a condition as well to restrict numbers, for instance.
Thanks.
This is Beckman, a question for either Eric, whoever wants to field this. That was one of my concerns about the fact that he was going to conduct auto sales at this site. The ordinance states that due to the square footage, he has to have one parking stall. What does that then leave? How much space then does that leave for cars to be put on that lot? Conceivably, how many cars could he put there?
And maybe I'll defer to Eric Johnson, but if maybe the cable access there, we can pull up the aerial photo. Is going to have that for a reference. Not very many, but go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that question, only because my client has not indicated that that is something that he wants to pursue. But I mean, it's a fair question. I mean, the variance runs with the land, not, you know, my client may have no intent of pursuing it, but doesn't mean that the person that he sells it to doesn't have a different intent. I don't know the answer.
Eric Schrader again, just, you know, roughly guessing, and it's a rough guess, but just, you know, looking at the aerial photo and the site pictures, I would think it'd be a stretch to fit about 10 vehicles on there. I don't think you're going to get more than that.
Now, 10 seems too many, but that's just me.
Yeah. Any other questions of Eric? Okay, is there anybody else in the audience who wishes to speak in favor of the request? Okay, hearing none. Is there anybody that wishes to speak against the request? Hearing none. If there's no further comments or questions, I would entertain a motion.
Oh, one further, we didn't have any opposition to this from any neighbors,
No.
correct? Okay.
And I would just point out that my client actually owns the lots that circle around us on both sides, the immediate lots. So that may have dampened some of the opposition.
Okay. Are we able to put a limit on the blocking cars from driveway? Or blocking cars from driving on the grass? Can we put an actual time limit on that?
I don't think, I was going to say, I don't think the applicant's opposed to that. I think Jerry's statement of 6 months seems more than reasonable. I mean, I would think that it should happen this spring, and I mean, you know, barring other unusual events.
Right. That's fair.
Okay. John, you want to make the motion?
Sure. All right, Mr. Chair, I move that the request by Eric Johnson on the behalf of, make sure, sorry, 1 second. Okay, on the behalf of Robert Frank for variance to reestablish a legal non-conforming use in the R2 1 and 2 family residence district to allow for an auto sales and incidental auto repairs location at 1801 Lafayette Street be approved for the following reasons. There would appear to be a lack of reasonable return to the request, as the structure was designed and set up for commercial uses in an R2 1 and 2 family residence district in 1941 before the adoption of the ordinance. Approval of the variance to legalize the legal non-conforming use would not appear to have a negative impact upon the surrounding neighborhood, as the proposed commercial use is on the edge of a residential neighborhood along a 4-lane street and across from a grocery store, which appears to have blended in with the area since 1941. And this will be subject to the building itself be painted within 12 months or sided. And that we are, the lot to the east is blocked off from cars being able to drive on the lot, and that grass or sod be planted in that location within 6 months.
Second,
Okay. Any further discussion?
Don't think so.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Yep. By the way, Chris, before, is there anybody in the audience there?
Yes, there is, there's, the owner, for the last request, the second to last request, there's the owner and his contractor here. That's it.
Okay, I just couldn't see if there was anybody there. Thanks.
Jerome Amos is here also.
I'm sorry?
Jerome Amos is here also.
Oh, you're there? Okay,
That
great.
Councilman.
Yes, I am.
All right, we have a request our fourth request by Lamar Advertising for a special permit for the S1 shopping district for a new billboard and a variance to allow for a billboard to be 900 square, that's in that square feet, 990 square feet, 10 square feet less than the minimum distance. I'm sorry, I messed that up. So, start over. Variance to allow for the billboard to be 990 feet, 10 feet less than the minimum distance of 1,000 feet from an existing billboard located at 2010 Sears Avenue. Staff report.
This is Western with staff. The applicant is requesting a special permit to construct a 45-foot tall, 378 square foot off-premises billboard sign at 2010 Sears Street. The applicant noted that the north face of the building will be a digital display and south face will be a normal display that can be replaced. The proposed billboard will be constructed near the southwest portion of the existing building on the site and overhang the roof of that building. In all districts where are permitted C2, C3, M1, M2, excluding corridor overlay districts, billboards shall have a prime message area not to exceed 300 square feet. Billboards may exceed 300 square feet for unique site characteristics, including but not limited to setbacks surrounding land uses and structures, spaciousness and visibility. Any request over 300 square feet in area must follow the procedure of applying for a special permit from the Board of Adjustment after recommendation from the Planning Zoning Commission. In no case shall the Board of Adjustment grant a special permit that exceeds 672 square feet. The maximum allowable height as measured from the natural grade at the base of the sign to the top of the structure is 48 feet, with there being a minimum of 10 feet from the natural grade at the base of the sign to the bottom of the structure. There is 32 feet between the bottom of the proposed sign and the surrounding grade. The zoning ordinance requires that billboard structures shall not be permitted within 1,000 feet of another billboard structure or off-premises sign measured in either direction along both sides of the street which adjoins the billboard structure, measured from the base of the structure to the base of the structure regardless of the grade. There are 4 other off-premises signs within the immediate vicinity, with one of those signs meeting the definition of a billboard, while the other 3 signs are constructed to appear as off-premises signs but advertise off-premises businesses. The nearest billboard is approximately 1,050 feet to the northeast along East San Martin Drive. The proposed billboard is approximately 315 feet, 600 feet, and 850 feet from the other 3 signs. The Board of Adjustment approved variances on February 23rd, 2016, and April 28th, 2015 to have off-premises signage at 2027 Crossroads Boulevard and 1655 East San Martin Drive to advertise adjacent businesses. However, the signage that was constructed in a manner that is similar to on-premises signage rather than off-premises billboard, which is typically constructed with a single monopole design. Staff feels that the proposed billboard, being 1,050 feet from the nearest true billboard, approval would not negatively impact the surrounding area. When the request is before the Board of Adjustment, it will be necessary that a variance is issued to the setback from other nearby off-premises signage. At the April 5th, 2016 Planning, Programming, and Zoning Commission meeting, the commission voted 4-1 in recommendation of denial of the request due to concerns with the density and number of signs in the surrounding area and concern for the mall tenants. Staff still recommended approval. At the March 1st, 2016 Board of Adjustment meeting, the request was approved unanimously. However, the Waterloo City Council ultimately denied the request due primarily to objections from Panchero's Restaurant and Crossroads Mall. The applicant submitted a new site plan in September of 2019 showing the new location of the billboard further away from Panchero's Restaurant and closer to San Martin at the edge of the parking lot. However, it was discovered that the sign would be within the utility easement and the request was withdrawn. The applicant is now submitting for approval a site plan that shows the billboard being installed at the southwest corner of the existing building at 2010 Sears Street, and the sign would overhang the building and therefore would meet all setbacks and not be in the utility easement. Therefore, staff recommends that the request for special permit located at 2010 Sears Street be approved for the following reasons. The request is in conformance with the comprehensive plan and future land use map for this area. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on traffic conditions in the area. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding area. And staff would also point out that the site plan amendment was approved this past Monday by City Council.
Okay, I have a few questions. Under the staff analysis zoning ordinance, says the north face of the billboard would be a digital display and the south face will be a normal display. I get a little lost, Chris, in your summary, so I'm not sure which way is north and which way is south. Doesn't the sign point east and west?
Well, technically like northeast and southwest is the way it faces.
Okay, so the north facing towards LaPorte Road will be digital.
Correct.
South going west up San Martin to the businesses to the west of it will be just a changeable sign.
Correct.
Okay. All right. And this is going to be on the roof of the, so the pictures showing the sign that we have here is not correct. It's going to be on the roof of the auto parts store?
No, it'll actually overhang the roof of the auto parts store. And sorry for the confusion. This is like I read, it's come to the board multiple times with multiple different locations. But this newest request is to be basically in the middle of that, yeah, right there. And the billboard will actually overhang the building. I have no numbers as to how far, but it will overhang the building.
Mr. Chair, can I jump in for just a minute? Where is the exact location of the pole? Is the pole going to be closer to the building of Advanced Auto Parts or closer to the edge of the parking lot near San Martin?
Closer to the building.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Closer to the building?
Okay. So it'll be closer to the building, but the actual sign will actually overhang the building.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Is this sign in addition to the sign that's already on the corner?
Say that one more time.
Is this sign in addition to the sign that's already on the corner?
An advanced auto sign? Was it an advanced auto part sign? Yes.
Okay, previously, Poncheros complained about this. I don't see any comment. Have they now approved it or agree with it, or?
Yeah, for the site plan amendment, there were notice letters sent out to the Crossroads Mall and surrounding businesses within 250 feet. This time around, we did not get any calls or emails in opposition to the request. Oh, yeah, yes, and there was no one at the P&Z or council meeting to comment. So that would suggest to us that the new location further away from Pancheros is a suitable location, and that's why we haven't heard anything.
This is Beckman. I have one more quick clarification. I'm looking at Mr. Allen's application, and under property information, states location to be approximately 40 feet from south lot line along San Marnan Drive. So is that in step with the pole being near the building?
This is Schrader with staff. I think that might have been upped from 40 feet to 45 feet to ensure that it stays out of the easement area. There's approximately 45 feet of easement between the property line and inwards towards the building. And when I say approximate, it's a varying easement that, so it's not an exact even distance all the way along there. But the current site plan that they've submitted us bumped that up, I think, from 40 feet to 45 feet, just to ensure that they would stay out of that easement. I believe the applicant, Mr. Weber, is on the line, so he could address that a little bit more, but that puts the pole, I'm not sure exactly how many feet the pole would be away from the building, but it'll be fairly close to the building, and then the sign itself attaching to that pole, but all to the, protruding to the one side that makes it overhang the actual building.
Yeah, that's correct. This is Tom Weber with Lamar Advertising.
Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, what you said was correct. The pole will be very close to the building. Questions? Go ahead.
Go ahead, Tom.
Okay.
Okay, no, I was just saying that the pole will be very close to the building, and we reduced the setback a little bit in our proposal just to make sure that we were within, to make sure we didn't go over the setback amount that we were required to do. So the pole will be next to the building, and the sign would overhang the building. And with the new placement, the original proposal we had back in 2016, the reason there were concerns was because we had that on the back side of the building, and when we moved the proposed location around to the side of the building, that's what eliminated the concerns that were raised in 2016 by the neighboring businesses. And I also believe that we will be able to satisfy the 1,000-foot separation. I think the 990 was when we had it by the utility easement, and we had to move it from there closer to the building. So I do believe we can satisfy the 1,000-foot separation from our other billboard. Now, like you said, there are some other signs that are considered off-premise, and I believe that met a variance. So we will not be 1,000 feet from them, but we should be able to make 1,000 feet from our other billboard.
Is there any other questions of staff?
So I'm wondering, is this sign for the auto parts store, or is this an actual Lamar advertising sign so that they can use it for advertising of other businesses over the top of the advanced auto parts store?
This would be a billboard for off-premise advertising, not for advanced auto parts. We have a similar sign at the corner of San Martin and Fleming. This one would be a lot smaller, but we've had so much requests for advertising at that other sign on San Martin that we've had to turn business away. And most of the business we turn away is local business. So there's a big call for advertising in that area. I mean, it's as you know, it's a place where a lot of people go to dine and shop and things like that. It's a lot of traffic, and that's why our clients ask to advertise there. Most of them are local, and most of the businesses we have to turn away are local. There are a lot of signs there, but it's zoned commercial and shopping for a reason. Any congestion of signs isn't due to billboards because we're 1,000 feet from other billboards. It's just a natural result of the zoning.
This might be just a personal question, but wouldn't you get more traffic with the digital sign facing west?
Actually, the digital sign on the San Martin and Fleming side is facing west. We wanted to catch the traffic on the other side and also the traffic that is stopped at the stop sign. That's where our customer gets the most bang for their buck, is the traffic that is sitting there watching the ads flip through the different slots. They'll see more ads.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, is there anybody else there who wishes to speak in favor of the request? Okay, is there anybody there who wishes to speak against the request? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, Beckman here. I'll make the motion. Make the motion to approve the request for a special permit to allow for the construction of a 45-foot tall, 378 square foot off-premise billboard at 2010 Sears Street for the following reasons. That the request is in conformance with the comprehensive plan and future land use map for this area. Number two, the request would not appear to have a negative impact on traffic conditions in the area. Number three, the request would not appear to have a negative impact upon the surrounding area.
Second?
Is there a second? Okay.
Thornsberry.
Any further discussion? I'm sorry?
Jerry seconded.
Jerry, did you say something? Oh, okay. Any further discussion? All in favor of the request?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed to the request?
Aye.
Aye. April, was that you?
It was.
A negative? Okay. And I voted against it, so it passed 3-2. Okay. Number 5, we have a request by Eagle Mart doing business as Alli's Corner for a variance to expand a legal non-conforming use to allow for a 32 feet by 38 feet, 1,216 square foot expansion of a non-limited alcohol sales use located within the C2 Commercial District located at 1117 East 4th Street. Staff report.
Yes, this is Heiberger with the staff report. The applicant is requesting a variance to expand a legal non-conforming use to allow for a 32 by 38, 1,216 square feet expansion of a non-limited alcohol sales use with a Class E liquor license. The site is located 80 feet from a protected use, while the zoning ordinance requires a minimum distance of 600 feet from any protected use to any non-limited sales use within a Class E license, and the use is prohibited within an alcohol sales use overlay district. Property is located at 117 East 4th Street. The site is zoned C2 Commercial District and has been zoned as such since 1969. The surrounding land uses and their zoning uses are as follows. To the north, Dane Street, which has a former bar tavern, and Chicago Central and Pacific Railroad, zoned M1 Light Industrial District. To the south are commercial businesses, zoned C2. To the east is Chicago Central and Pacific Railroad Building, zoned M1 Light Industrial District. To the west is single-family homes and apartments, zoned R3, Multiple Residence District. The request could bring a non-conforming use further out of compliance with the zoning ordinance. The intent and restrictions on the non-limited alcohol sales use is to avoid having non-limited alcohol sales uses, liquor stores and bars that make a majority of their business from selling alcohol near residential areas and other protected uses, and avoid having an over-concentration of non-limited alcohol uses. However, the use is existing and expansion would not appear to have a significant impact on the surrounding area. The purpose of the non-limited alcohol sales restriction is to avoid having a non-limited alcohol sales use near residential areas and other protected uses, and avoid having an overconcentration of non-limited alcohol sales uses. This is done in order to limit secondary effects of certain alcohol sales uses, to preserve and protect neighborhoods from deterioration, loss of property values due to incompatible uses, and to otherwise promote the general purpose of the zoning ordinance and promote the health, welfare, and morals of the community. The site in question at 117 4th Street is located less than 600 from many protected uses, including duplexes and single-family homes at 524, 526 Iowa Street, and 522 Iowa Street, and 516 Iowa Street, which are all located approximately 80 feet from the property in question. The site is an existing use that is legal non-conforming. The expansion will allow them to construct a larger cooler and to reconfigure the layout of their store. It would appear that the expansion of the store would not have a negative impact on the area. Lack of reasonable return. There does not appear to be a lack of reasonable return to this request, as this location can continue to operate as a non-limited alcohol sales use business without the expansion. Uniqueness. There does not appear to be uniqueness to this request, as the applicant can still sell alcohol with its non-limited alcohol sales use designation. Public considerations. Approval of the request would not appear to have a negative impact on the neighborhood by having an overconcentration of non-limited alcohol sales uses. And staff recommends that the request for a variance to expand a legal non-conforming use to allow for a 32 by 34, 1,216 square feet addition at 117 East 4th Street be approved for the following reasons. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on the area by allowing a non-limited alcohol sales use to expand its existing operation. The request will not result in an overconcentration of non-limited alcohol sales uses in one area.
Okay, does anybody have any questions of staff?
Beckman. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, John.
Staff, are there any objections on file?
None that I'm aware of.
Okay, thank
That
you.
was my question.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the answer.
No complaints that I'm aware of, sir.
All right. Any other questions of staff? Is there anybody there that wishes to speak in favor of the request? I don't see anybody, so is there nobody coming up to speak?
The owner and the
Chairman.
contractor are in the audience if you have any questions.
Oh. Mr. Chairman? They don't have to, I can't. Yeah.
See if they're trying to.
Mr. Chairman. Hello? Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman? Just barely. Who is that? Okay, go ahead. Jerome Amos? Okay. Go ahead. Okay, I have some concerns. This is Jerome. You're telling me to go ahead, correct?
Yes.
Go ahead. I didn't hear anybody wanting to speak in favor, so the request is against is perfectly in order. Okay. I have some real concerns from a standpoint of I'm seeing here, looking at the information, and it is saying that this is in a alcohol overlay district. And what I am hearing is that because they are adding space to a building to sell more liquor, that doesn't count. Well, for me, that's just adding more alcohol into the community that is not necessary. And I have a real concern with this going through simply because of the fact that I think that it still falls under the alcohol overlay ordinance. And I think by expanding this building, it's doing nothing more than adding another place to sell alcohol, even though it is in the same building. You're adding 1,200 and some square feet of more alcohol. And I just have a problem with that from a standpoint of the impact on the citizens that I represent. Okay.
The applicant would
Thank
like,
you.
the owner's contractor would like to address those concerns.
Okay, I think I'd like to bring up here is that 75% of the product sold there is groceries, pop, and maybe beer. I mean, your alcohol is a part of this, but it isn't completely the biggest factor. The thing we're doing, we're moving the existing coolers and installing another cooler for cold beer and cold milk and produce, and that's what everybody seems to want in that area. So by moving this cooler out of the middle and putting another cooler in, we're not really adding that much to the square footage as far as volume, as far as people, but we're going to be organized a little bit more, and we're going to be able to observe the people out there and make sure that nobody's doing anything they shouldn't be doing or stealing anything. So the matter, there's an existing 12 by 18 cooler right in the middle of this space right now. We're going to move that against the back wall. We want to put another cooler in for cold product and maybe a couple more shelves for like candies and pastries and whatever the people might want as far as grocery items. So we're not trying to be bigger in the liquor business. We're trying to expand the operation to a point where we can offer more groceries to the public and more cooler space. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Can you state your name and who you are?
Oh, my name's Greg Bolacek, and I'm with All Seasons Construction. And we realized that if we, by moving this wall over, there's another set of exits that would be usable for fire exiting, and we'd have to install a firewall up to the roof, meeting all the city criteria. So we're going to meet all the requirements and the fire rated walls and whatever. And there's 2 bathrooms in the facility. But right now, even the control center is too small. We got to make it a little bit bigger so we can run the operation more efficient. So that's kind of what I'm saying here. We're just trying to make it better. We're not trying to make it bigger. And like I said, by installing the coolers and more shelving for more food items is something that I think people they need in that particular area for walk-in traffic and people driving in there. So like I said, our liquor sales isn't going to be increased that much, if any. The amount of product for liquor right now will not be increased. So just same amount of shelving. But I said we will be increasing floor product. That's about all I have to say. So, and there's
Mr.
plenty
Chair,
of parking.
Thank you. Yes?
Mr. Chair, this is
Go ahead.
Beckman. This question is either for staff or for the actual owner. Is this a grocery store that sells liquor or alcohol rather, or an alcohol establishment that sells groceries?
Well, we sell groceries, groceries and liquor. Liquor is just as kind of a something that was existing there. It was the biggest, sell more beer and potato chips and items like that. We do liquor. Liquor is just an item that's it's not going to be increased with this addition. We're not going to put more liquor shelves in.
This is Schrader with staff. The only thing I would add to that is, the distinction on if you're a liquor store that sells groceries or a grocery store that sells liquor is probably somewhat subjective. Possibly you could analyze it based on sales, but the site is considered a legal non-conforming use as a non-limited alcohol sales use, meaning there is not a cap on the alcohol sales to it. So from that respect, it certainly would legally be allowed to sell more liquor or other alcoholic products. I don't know if that helps.
Okay, is there any other questions, comments? Is there anybody else in the audience there or online that wishes to speak against the request? Okay, hearing or having none there in the audience. If there's no further questions, I'd entertain a motion.
I have one question. So if this were not a non-limited alcohol use, would this be before us?
This is Schrader with staff. If it was a limited alcohol sales use, because this particular site is within an overlay district, it still would be a legal non-conforming use. The overlay districts don't allow limited alcohol sales use, off-premise consumption either, unless they are over 10,000 square foot, being classified as a grocery store. So it would still need a variance.
Okay.
I have a question.
Okay.
Is there no possible way that the inside of this business can be reconfigured so that they can make better use of their space?
Well, with the coolers that we plan on installing, they're bulky and they're going to take some square footage to install the coolers and to relocate them, have an open feeling. We feel that we should have wider aisles so that people can have maybe a cart going down the aisles and don't get the area congested. So we're trying to think of the area being more open and more cooler space along the perimeter walls. So I think we're really not going to have much more space we have right now. It's just a matter of more cooler space and a few more, another aisle for grocery items and easier accessibility where one person can oversee the operation and try to make sure that everything's in control. And it's just something that would really right now we're in a kind of a bad situation because of the cooler space, cooler being in the middle of the floor and whatever. So we're just trying to make things better and more productive.
Mr. Chair, I'm a little confused. Is Mr. Bolachek the owner?
I'm a contractor. I help. Delaware County on his projects here in different places.
Have we heard from the owner? Is the owner present there?
Yeah, he's up here. Delaware's here. You want to talk to him?
I'd just like to hear his comments.
Come here. Just talk to him.
Hi, this is Delaware Khan, Eagle Mart. Yeah, this is like whatever he said, like same thing I'm gonna be explain. We need a not for a liquor more space. Liquor we already have behind a counter. We have enough space. It's like this side neighborhood, like people really don't need a lot of quality for liquor. Hey, we need this liquor. We need this liquor. They're just gonna stay like whatever we have, we're gonna be stay for that liquor. We're gonna sell. We like to be have little more space. Like candy shelves need at least 10 feet shelf to have a candy all gonna be fit in. Chips candy they need at least like a 15 feet or 10 feet for all chips gonna be fit. We don't have a lot of space in there to put it like a egg, like a milk, like a dairy contact. We need to be put it some frozen sandwich, like coffee, like that kind of stuff. We like to add it, not be add like a liquor. It's my goal is I like to be have a kind of convenience store kind of. It's not to be only liquor. I don't want to be. I hear a lot. People get very aggressive for liquor. I don't want to be that point. I like to be added like a convenience store kind of. People can stop. They can shop whatever they needed. They can go. For community. They don't need to be just stop for me only liquor. Like a kids comes over there, like if they sign over there, like I'm gonna be change a sign in the future. It's not to be like Alli corner liquor. I like to be put it like a G corner grocery. Like kids be sometime a family comes over there, they're buying a liquor, but they don't want to be show to kids, hey, we're going to just buying liquor. Like they can stop over there as a like convenient, and if they need candy they can have a candy. If they have a chips they can get a chips. If they need whatever, everybody need whatever they needed, they can have it. It's not only pointed as liquor store. And I just like to be have a nice store, nice people come in and they can feel nice, whenever they're gonna walk in. Like a delivery guy come, they hit each other, like a bump, I don't know how to explain, like it's very congested area, very very congested. I don't feel good to work over there even. I like to be have a nice clean and nice improvement. I just got that place almost like a month, and I like to be do it my own way, like nice, like it's good way. I don't like to be work like my previous owner. He's there like 10 years. He don't pay. He don't care about anything. He just dirty around there. Everything is dirty. Like a lot of cotton on the floor, lot of candies on the floor. Like people buying a chips, it's a drop on the floor because it's very congested. People have no place to go to bathroom in their bathroom. If they go bathroom is very dirty. This I am going to spend more money in there to have nice looking good store. This is my point, sir. Like I did Lynn Street. I did work over there almost like 4 years before, and now it's nice looking good store. When you're gonna walk in that neighborhood, 926 Lynn Street. When you're gonna walk in, you're gonna see a lot of grocery over there, a lot of candy there, a lot of pop over there. It's big store, like almost like 2,500 square feet. When you're gonna walk in, you're gonna feel like you are somewhere. You don't gonna be feel like you are some kind of hood or some kind of like a bad neighborhood. I like to get good sign. Like I spend almost whatever I made it over there, I just keep putting money back to business. Like I spent last year on Lynn Street almost like $70,000-$80,000. Parking lot done, inside all floor tiles. It's look very beautiful over there. That's all good for community. Thank you, sir. If you have any question, you can ask me.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, does anybody want to make a motion?
This is Jerry. I will. I move to approve the request for a variance to expand a legal non-conforming use to allow for a 32 feet by 38 feet, 1,216 square foot addition at 1117 East 4th Street be approved for the following reasons. One, the request would not appear to have a negative impact on the area by allowing a non-limited alcohol sales use to expand its existing operation. Two, the request will not result in an over-concentration of non-limited alcohol sales uses in one area.
There a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Beckman votes no.
Okay.
So
You're
just to verify,
I voted aye.
3-2, correct? Ledley
No,
and,
I'm still.
2-2 at this
all
point.
right.
It's 2-2, yeah, I'm thinking.
Oh, okay.
It's too late for me to say what I'm thinking, right? I have to just make a decision here.
Yeah, I think it's too late. We're in the voting.
Yeah. Who voted aye? Did you? John voted no, and Jerry. Okay, so
Jerry voted aye. April and John voted no.
okay. I'm gonna trust this guy, and think he's gonna do the right thing. So I'll vote aye.
All right. It's approved. Okay, let's move on to the last item. Request by Air Care for a variance to the provision prohibiting any commercial, manufacturing, or professional services from being carried out on a mobile home, trailer, recreational vehicle, or similar motor vehicle to allow for the placement of a 27 by 4 foot by 56 foot mobile trailer on Waterloo Airport grounds within an M2 planned heavy industrial district located at 2790 Livingston Lane. Staff report.
This is Wes from the staff. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on the area, as the trailer will be placed between two hangars and surrounded by other airport-related buildings, which would limit the visibility of the trailer. It would appear that the request would not have a negative impact on...
Chris?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
I can't hear you.
Um,
Can you start over?
okay. That's,
I can hear you now, but
okay.
You kept cutting out there.
Okay. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on the area, as the trailer would be placed between two hangars and surrounded by other airport-related buildings, which would limit the visibility of the trailer. It would appear that the request would not have a negative impact upon traffic conditions in the surrounding area. The request would not be in conformance with the classification of this area as commercial on the future land use map within the City of Waterloo Comprehensive Plan adopted February 3rd, 2003. Air Care is an emergency medical transport service staffed by medical crews from the University of Iowa hospitals and clinics. Air Care previously operated out of space in the Mercy One Medical Center, but had to relocate on short notice to the Waterloo Regional Airport on a temporary basis. Currently, Air Care operates an air medical base out of the terminal at the Waterloo Regional Airport. The existing Waterloo Aircrew quarters consist of a series of co-located offices, rooms within the terminal. This arrangement is not ideal for providing responsive emergency air medical services, as the crews are currently separated from their aircraft and hangar by 1,200 feet. Secondly, air crews require private bathrooms and showers as they staff the base for up to 24 hours at a time. The terminal only has public bathrooms and no showers available. Lastly, during heavy passenger traffic in the terminal, causes additional delays and further impedes the air crews from responding to emergencies. The proposed mobile trailer will be placed between hangars 2 and 5 on the west end of the airfield, serving as air crew's quarters. The trailer will be adjacent to the Air Care hangar and aircraft, which would significantly increase response times. The proposed mobile trailer will be built new specifically for Air Care crew and meet all state and local safety requirements, complete with a sprinkler system. Their proposed mobile trailer has private bathrooms and showers. The trailer will never be occupied by more than 4 crew members at any given time, and in most cases, only 3 members. The kitchen will consist of common household appliances, which will all be operated on electricity. The mobile trailer will be designed and built to meet ADA specifications. Lack of reasonable return. There would appear to be a lack of reasonable return, as there are extremely limited locations available that meet the requirements to safely and efficiently operate an air medical crew. Uniqueness. There would appear to be a uniqueness to the request, as Air Care medical services crews require living quarters with a kitchen, private bathrooms, and showers for up to 4 members, and be located in close proximity of the hangar and aircraft. Public considerations. There are no objections on file. And actually, there is one petition that in your packet in favor of the request. Therefore, staff recommends that the request by Justin Tucker on behalf of Air Care for variance to the provision prohibiting any commercial manufacturing or professional services from being carried on in a mobile home trailer, recreational vehicle, or similar motor vehicle to allow for the placement of a 27-foot 4-inch by 56-foot mobile trailer on Waterloo Airport grounds within an M2P planned heavy industrial district located at 2790 Livingston Lane be approved for the following reasons. There would appear to be a lack of reasonable return, as there are extremely limited locations available that would meet the requirements for safely and efficiently operating an air medical crew. Secondly, there would appear to be a uniqueness to the request, as air medical services crews require living quarters with kitchen, private bathrooms, and showers for up to 4 members, and be located in close proximity of the hangar and aircraft. And lastly, there are no objections on file, and there is one petition that was signed in favor of the request. Staff would note, coming to the meeting this afternoon, there were some new developments. And I think I'll leave it up to Justin. I believe Justin's on the line to explain what those new developments were whenever you're ready.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. My name is Justin Tucker. I'm the area manager for the Air Care program, and I represent the base there in Waterloo. Thanks, Chris and Eric and everybody else for staffing this. I definitely think you hit all the high points there. I appreciate that. And like Chris mentioned, we're an air medical transport service staffed by the clinicians out of the University of Iowa. And we're the only air medical transport service within 50 miles of Waterloo. So as far as the recent update, I'll speak to that real quick. So I met with some Blackhawk County folks this afternoon to discuss the septic tank that's there between the 2 hangars where we are proposing to put this trailer. Unfortunately, it sounds like they're not going to be able to recommend that we tie into that septic tank due to capacity issues as well as some other issues with the lateral lines. But what they did offer or suggest is that we look at installing a new septic system to the west of that northwestern hangar, hangar 5. And actually that I think works out for us quite well. It still limits visibility of the trailer being on the west side of that hangar. And it puts us obviously right next to our hangar, but also right where we plan on parking our aircraft over there to the northwest corner of that hangar. So still meets all of our requirements, and also got the backing of Keith Kaspari, the airfield director there, who's on board for that site, and I think it'll be good for us. Bottom line for us, we definitely really appreciate the city of Waterloo and Keith, the airfield director there, working with us late summer last year to get us moved into the terminal on a very short timeline. Definitely very appreciate it very much. However, it's just not an ideal situation for us. And it really comes down to being as responsive and as efficient and effective as we can be so we can respond to these emergency situations in Waterloo and the surrounding areas. So, and then also making sure we meet all the requirements so that our crews can operate out of there on a 24/7 basis. So this trailer allows for that. And it being over there in that northwestern corner of the airfield solves some other logistics issues for us as well. And so I think this would definitely be a huge win for the air care program, as well as the airfield. And also, I think the community, the Waterloo community and the local areas as well, as we are the only air medical transport service within a 50-mile radius. So I appreciate your all's consideration, and I'm available to answer any questions, anything at all.
Okay, does anybody have any
Here,
questions?
I have a few questions. This is Beckman. Mr. Tucker, in our packet, we were provided a picture of this structure, which looks more like a modular home than a trailer.
Right.
The term trailer seems confusing.
Okay, fair enough. That picture that you guys see is accurate, and it's essentially a mobile home. I think we've been calling it a trailer, but I guess I took it as either or being kind of interchangeable. But it is a mobile home that comes with complete with 4 bedrooms and 2 baths, and is designed specifically for air medical crew quarters. And we've used this same design and this same company for crew quarters throughout the country for my company. So, yeah, that's what we're looking at. The dimensions are all accurate, though. It's still 27 feet by 56 feet. So,
okay. So the front of this structure is going to face to the south, correct?
At the current location, yes. At the new proposed location on the west side of the building that we were just discussing there, I think the front of the building, it's still up in there a little bit, but it could either face to, I think, either the west or to the east towards the hangar, if that makes sense.
Okay, so just to make sure I understand, the latest development, are actually going to move this structure to the west end of Hangar 5 and 2, is that correct?
Yes, specifically the northwestern end of Hangar 5 is where we're looking at right now. And that is due to the septic issues that we ran into this afternoon.
Okay, so the space, this structure will not be occupying the space between Hangars 2 and 5?
No, not anymore.
Okay, all right. Let me check here quick.
This, just real quick, this is Schrader with staff. So Site 1 is being moved from where you see it on that site plan map in between the 2 hangar buildings to west of the northerly hangar, more towards that northwest corner. Staff is still recommending approval. That is still within the overall airport facility campus. It'll really still be, blocked from most public view areas. So we're okay with that. So we're still recommending approval of that. And we would still ask that the approval still include option 2. Option 1, which they're now just moving slightly, is still their primary option. But option 2, we would want that one to be covered by the approval as well, because that's a site that could potentially hook onto a sanitary sewer main, although there are some complications with that one, which is why it's not the preferred alternative at this point. But we still are including it so that it would be approved and be an option.
And all of that is correct. It's a great summary there. And just one thing I'll add to is the one person I had sign the petition is Timothy Newton. Tim Newton out of Livingston Aviation. He's the FBO owner there, and we're currently renting the hangar from him. So he is on board for this, as well as the proposed adjusted option 1 location, and so is Keith, the airfield director there.
Okay, so I'm going to tag on what Eric just talked about. I'm going to call this option 3, okay? Because what we've got in front of us that shows option 1, option 2, based on the latest developments today, I'm going to call it option 3. Okay. So if option 3 comes into play, your aircraft will be on the apron north of Hangar 5, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. If that doesn't pan out and you have to go to option 2, where is your aircraft going to be located?
Right, and that's part of the complications with option 2. It's something that I've brought up with the airfield director, and something him and I and Tim Newton would have to figure out as to where exactly that aircraft would go.
Your intent is to house this aircraft in Hangar 5 when necessary, correct?
That is correct, and that's currently where we house it.
Okay.
Folks, this is Keith Gaspar, Airport Director. If I can just supplement what Justin and Eric has communicated to you all, is that, and I don't know if you can hear me or not, I hope you can.
We got you, Keith.
I support this new option 3. Option 1, where they're currently at in the terminal building, is not the most effective from an immediate response scenario for them to quickly get into the helicopter from the terminal building. Option number 2 is, as you can see, it would allow them to have the helicopter, but then again, as a staff and as a helicopter team, they're still displaced from an immediate response to their helicopter. The option 3 that is now being proposed would allow them to site the modular, I'll say, trailer immediately adjacent to the hangar and park their aircraft in favorable weather conditions right next to their trailer, so they could just run right out, jump in the helicopter and get going. They would probably save, I'd have to leave that up to Justin, how many minutes they could save on a response to lift off. But and what this also does, though, and I can't understate this enough, is the immediate response capability of the Air Methods crew, and also what it does, it gives them long-term tenancy here at ALO and this area of the Cedar Valley, since they are the sole ambulatory helicopter response unit in this area of Iowa.
Thank you, Keith.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I got a quick question for Eric Schrader. So it appears as though option 3 is the best option here, yet I'm getting a sense that there might be a problem with getting a septic hooked up.
Eric Schrader, city planner. I do not know if there will be a problem. There could be a problem, which is why we definitely want to keep option 2 as a viable option if there are any problems with the new septic scenario. I think that any issues with the new septic should be able to be addressed. It may potentially take a separate appeal through the plumbing board.
And this is Justin Tucker again. I can kind of speak to that a little bit. Originally, that first proposed location between hangars 2 and 5, we found out, I think, just a couple weeks ago, that septic tank might not be a viable option for us. So we immediately started looking at other options and landed on option 2 on the south side of the airfield. And in the meantime, continued to try to run this septic tank issue to the ground. And today I was able to set up a meeting with those folks from the county to come out and actually take a look at it. And that's when we got the recommendation that they do not recommend we try to tie into that hangar or that septic tank there. And so that's how this new option 3 came about. Now, obviously this, would require that we put in a new septic system, and based off of the input I got from the county folks, as well as Tim Newton from Livingston, I don't think from a logistics standpoint, construction standpoint, or anything like that, that it's going to be an issue to put a septic tank there. The only issue, I guess, really on my end, it's a small issue, but something I just have to, kind of get approval through, and is the funds aspect of it, is getting it paid for and stuff. So I don't think it's going to be an issue. But if for some reason that becomes an issue, or maybe there's something unforeseen, that option 2 on the south side of the airfield is still available and allows us to tie directly into the sewer mains, and as well as some of the water and stuff there. So that's kind of why we're looking at both options, if that makes sense.
Well, if you have to go with option 2, it looks like you're going to have the same logistic issue that you're presently having with at the terminal getting to your aircraft.
Right, there is going to be a bit of a separation. It's not quite as significant as it currently is at the terminal, but yes, there still would be some distance. However, the trailer still doesn't answer the issues related to just the crew quarters in general. Making sure that they've got all the bedroom space, the office space, but especially the showers and baths that they need to operate out of there on a 24/7 basis.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Any other questions? Not. If there's no other further questions, I guess I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, Beckman, I'll make the motion, to approve the request by Justin Tucker on behalf of Air Care for a variance to the provision prohibiting any commercial, manufacturing, or professional services from being carried on in a mobile home, trailer, recreational vehicle, or similar motor vehicle to allow for the placement of a 27-foot by 4-inch by 56-foot mobile trailer on Waterloo Airport grounds within an M2P planned heavy industrial district located at 2790 Livingston Lane be approved for the following reasons. There would appear to be a lack of reasonable return, as there are extremely limited locations available that would meet the requirements for safely and efficiently operating an air medical crew. Number 2, there would appear to be a uniqueness to the request, as air medical services crews require living quarters with kitchen, private bathrooms, and showers for up to 4 members and be located in close proximity of the hangar and aircraft. Number 3, there are no objections on file. And number 4, that this recommendation applies to option 2, as well as what we've been talking about as the newly created option 3.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, then the motion is carried. Okay. Is there any other discussion items? It's work, but I guess I would hope we're back in the chairs next month.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for participating digitally.
Thank
It
you.
did work good.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll be back in regular seats next time.
Yep, thanks for your patience, and it went pretty good for the first time, and yeah, hopefully we don't have to do this too much longer, but we'll play it by ear.
Do I have a motion for adjournment?
I'll make a motion.
So moved. Second.
Need a second. Okay. I
Second.
don't. Chris, you can figure out who did what.
Yeah, I got, well, it was originally Charles, and then Beckman trumped him, and then, yeah, I got it.
All in favor?
Put it,
Aye.
put it down, Mr. John.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.